sensational first ride that I'd hoped for, that's for sure. I've got some sort of hiccup, misfire, carbs been cleaned, like definitely shouldn't have this problem. It goes to get going, you can feel it go lively, and then it just seems to like bog out. Like there, I can feel it's ready to surge. Crazy little thing. I mean, the bars feel absolutely fantastic on the road, but yeah, it's definitely something not right with the motor. I mean, not power wise, the compression's good, obviously power's not working, but it just doesn't feel in tune. Right there, I'm flattening it. You'd almost think it's a jetting issue the way it rides, but yeah, I don't know. We'll go for a little run down here. We're only doing the speed limit anyway. It like goes to open up and then just seems to bog out and splutter. So I put fresh fuel in it, like I say, mixed up a fresh brand of fully synthetic oil, and thought that might help, but I mean, it's the furthest it's gone under its own power. It starts to paint up, you can definitely feel it, but let's try and roll on slowly. Nah, see, it's doing the same thing. You can hear it. Yeah, definitely something not right. I mean, I'm not struggling to keep up with stuff, that's for sure. I probably should have worn my levers out, actually, being honest with you. I was only planning to go down the road, but yeah. Yeah, it loads up nicely down low in the RPM. It just doesn't seem to be very happy at the top. Cool. When it does get a little stride, you can feel it there. Jesus. Man, when the fueling is on point, it's hard to relay on camera. You can feel it wanting to come up, and then it just flatlines. Who knows? Who knows? All part of the fun, I guess. Project Backlash, or two-stroke life even. I mean, it sounds cool. The bars, like I say, feel fantastic. We just got to go back to the drawing board. Problem is, I never rode the bike, the KTM, when I bought it. Obviously, Nath dropped it over. I don't know if that even worked then, so it could be something from then. It could be something I've done. I mean, it rides lovely. Like handling wise, it feels really cool, really cool. It's definitely the furthest it's gone, that's for sure. Well, we've got to give a big thanks to Spence, really, spending some good hours fabricating up the stock exhaust to work, so it doesn't sound like it's going to deafen everyone, but maybe that's caused the power issue, I don't know. I'm not. Well, that didn't go completely to plan, did it? It was awesome to be out on the road, and thrilled that the engine didn't fall out and there's no damage to the mounts. Everything looks intact. So I guess in that sense, I should take that as a bit of a victory, that the bike ran, it got around the little circuit I did of about 2.5, 3 miles, no breakdowns, no overheating, everything seemed to be working pretty well, other than obviously the power delivery. Now, as I mentioned in the video, the engine has solid compression. It feels so tight to kick over. I'm almost certain it's a jetting issue. Now, the reason I say that is we've obviously modified the intake elbow. We've also modified the exhaust heavily, and I put that massive dent in it where I tried to use it, obviously, to clear the standard wheel. So my thoughts are, we've probably hampered performance, therefore potentially making the stock jetting too rich for it. So what I've done is I've actually bought a full jet kit for it. So I'm going to try and knock it down a couple of jets and just see what happens. It wasn't expensive for the full kit, so we'll see if that fixes the problem. Now, obviously, as mentioned in the video, Spence did me a massive solid coming over and working on the exhaust. So he said, look, we're over a coffee. He said, we'll smash this out in a few hours. It did take longer than a few hours, but managed to move the exhaust back, and I chopped up a standard KTM silencer that the chap I bought the KTM off gave me an absolutely stock one spare. So I was like, well, look, it's not going to cost me anything. It's way too loud to go out and do a road test. So everything was sort of mismatched back together. Obviously, the road test on idle, when you're blipping it's fine. But as soon as you get it under load, just before you feel it's about to pick up, it just bogs and splutters. So I thought, well, maybe it could be the reed valve. So I took that apart, and you could see they've got the carbon petals on there. Everything looked absolutely fine on there. Pulled the plug out and it's black, which indicates it's running rich. So at the moment, that's where I'm swaying. As I mentioned, I've ordered the kit with variable jets for the pilot and the main jet, so I can have a good look and see what's going on. Another cool thing while we're here, which I mentioned in one of the earlier videos, is on that ride, it actually didn't touch the rubber chain guard at all. I don't want to lift it up now because I've got squeaky clean fingers. Don't want to touch the oily chain, but I lifted it up when I came back in and it actually hasn't done any damage to the rubber guard. So it looks like I've got plenty of clearance. Obviously, the carb is off and down here in bits, ready for the new jets to arrive. I mean, for those watching the video, what do you think? Have you any two-stroke professionals? I mean, I've worked on two-strokes, tinkering and stuff, but I'm not an engine tuner for one. And black plug, we've also got, you may not be able to see that, quite a lot of fuel because the carb was sat here and it looks like it was spitting quite a bit out. I mean, you get carb spit anyway on a two-stroke, but yeah, plug being black as well, big indication that it's running very rich. And I held it open a few times on that run, so if it was going to clear out just from being sooted up, it would have done. We also did the check, which I found online, which is where you remove these 3 screws, pull the cover off, and like I say, on idle you can get it right up into those revs, not on idle, sat on the bench even, and you can see the power valve open. So the power valve is working, it's not a stuck power valve, it opens and closes perfectly, but as soon as you get it under load, it is not happy, which for me does indicate that the fueling unfortunately is not right. But understandable. Like I say, the exhaust, Spence did say he wished it looked better, but I said to him, mate, it's got us out of trouble, it's given us that clearance, so now that when the wheel compresses it doesn't touch the exhaust at all, so I can actually take it on the road. But yeah, let's wait for these mounts to turn up. Still plenty of other odds and sods to do to get this near a completion to actually go out for a proper road run on it. As I mentioned, we've got the to-do list on the wall there. Chop the frame bracket by the carb, done that. Carb drains on, still need to get a proper M15 nut and bolt. Headlight bulb wiring, we've got new headlight to go in there, or new guts. New temp gauge, I've managed to kill the temp gauge, which is annoying. Build dash and fly screen, order an air filter, pretty essential. Wiring the speedo, find the exhaust builder, so we've done that. The bike is booked in with Mark Dent Performance Fabrication, builds absolutely beautiful stuff, so hopefully that's going to bring back the performance. The problem is, the earliest booking slot as he's got is the 4th of September, so got to wait for a while, hence why we modified the exhaust. I need to do the horn, need to fix the kill switch, for some reason that's not working, so I just have to put it in first gear and do a clutch drop. Fuel tap, I bought one, I'm not particularly happy with the size of it, it's about 5mm, whereas the fuel line's 7, so I didn't want to cause a starvation issue. And I've set the gear lever, so I've dropped the height down, and that rode, before it was up there, which was easy, just 1 bolt, and that rode really nicely yesterday, had no issues with the gear change feel at all. And to be honest with you, with the gearing I've put on there, you probably saw in the video, even in the top of, I think it's a 5-speed, I didn't really count the gears going up, it actually sat at a really nice speed. I was cruising along, it didn't feel like it was short geared, it pulled away nicely in first, so maybe that gearing will be alright as it is, maybe I won't need to modify it anymore, but yeah, let's see what happens. So I hope you all enjoyed this episode, finally seeing it on the road. If you did, make sure you hit that like button, subscribe, comment, let me know any thoughts or things you want to see that I haven't put in the video. It's always good to hear the audience's feedback on the project. But yeah, the next one, I mean, it depends when these jets turned up. I've been told it's 7 to 10 days, so it might not meet next week's video, but we've still got to work on things like the wiring loom and bits and bobs like that. So still plenty more to come on the project. Until the next one, thanks for watching.
Yeah.